The one thing that I think I do have to contribute is I have a totally different perspective than most of the gentlemen in wise counsel. You know, you've had businesses you've run for years and years, and you've had dozens, if not hundreds, of employees. I've had essentially 6 different careers, and the most that I ever had for employees was 13 when I had my own design and build construction company. And then Jimmy Carter with his 22% interest. Talk about being surprised with some things. You know, I'm building 11 houses my first year, 11 more houses the next year. I'm making good money. And then Jimmy Carter comes along and we have 22.5% interest. And you don't sell a lot of your houses. And at 29 years old, you lose $500,000. So anyway, but my perspective, I've worked with a whole lot of entrepreneurs that ran small companies. And for some reason, my ministry has sort of been helping people find work or to hire people. And I have, I estimated once that I've interviewed 4 positions at least 100 times in my life. And I've interviewed to hire people over 500 times. So I became kind of a student of it, and recently, well, not recently, for the last 20 years in my church too, every time that someone goes unemployed at any age, I end up meeting with them and going through their resume and their approach to work and all that sort of thing. So one of the things that I would say is anyone we're all pretty much past 50, but anyone that's approaching 50, I just recommend highly to them that you might go find a new job right now, but what you need desperately is you need your own business. Because somewhere around 50, no matter how good you are, 50 to 55, you are going to get laid off from the big corporate position. And you better have a fallback position unless you own your own company. And if you own your own company, that's great. But otherwise, have this other company ready to go, and I mean ready to go, like have it incorporated, have a name to it, have graphic arts to the logo, the whole bit. And like for instance, I was with Ring Design here in town. We were the biggest, baddest architect in town for quite a while, and I was there 10 years. And in the 2008 recession, where we had 5 developer clients owe us over $2 million, and they all declared bankruptcy. And our accounts receivable did not work real well. So, you know, we didn't go bankrupt, but we folded. And my last day was on Friday, like everybody else. And on Monday, GDH Architects was ready to go. Logo, incorporation, everything. And for the last 10 years, I had GDH Architects, which has done well for me. But I would also say that you need the flexibility of different kinds of businesses. Now, they might have just a little bit of variety to them, or they might be quite different. And by this, what I mean is I had an architecture business, and then I moonlighted 2,400 hours in 1 year. I moonlighted to create my first coffee table book. And by doing that first coffee table book, it opened up the doors to a fantastic coffee table business, which was the tail wagging the dog, which opened up architectural photography for me, 2 things I love to do. And as architecture would be a little slow, book business was great. As book business would be not so great, the photography ended up being great. Anyway, by having 3 different sources of income that worked well with each other, but still, I didn't have all my eggs in one basket. I had a little bit of variety, and you know, when one's down, one's up. That helps a whole lot. The other thing is, I had a business plan for my book, and I thought my book was Distinctive Homes of America, Ponte Vedra Beach, Florida. So I thought, who's going to buy a book like that of beautiful homes? It's going to be architects, interior designers, and contractors, right? That's who I designed the book for. They hardly bought it at all. They would look at the book and they go, oh, yeah, this is kind of nice, Glenn. Yeah, okay, well, good, congratulations. But ladies,
Hey.
ladies between 30 and 60 years old with expendable income who wanted to decorate their homes, they bought my book like crazy. And so the business plan switched, and I'm giving some detail, but it's the example, you can apply the example. First book had about 2/3 architecture and 1/3 interior design, and it looked kind of masculine. The second book was very feminine. The logo got changed to a far more feminine logo. The color of the book is more feminine, and 2/3 of the pictures inside are interior design and 1/3 are architecture. And it's old, and all, my books have adjusted accordingly. That's all I'm saying. And just one other thing, I have 4 sons. I have preached to them since they were little that don't be like your dad and be a mile wide and an inch deep. I'm really good at a lot of things, but am I the expert at anything? Am I the best tire guy in the whole country? Am I an inch wide and a mile deep? I've preached to them to go an inch wide and a mile deep. I don't know if it'd be as interesting as my life has been a mile wide, but I still think that's the better way to go. And I think all of you guys that are so successful, I think you found your inch and you went a mile deep and you really know everything about that business. And I think that makes you a better and more successful business.
Okay, thank you.